Today, trade is vast, global, and continuous, literally 24/7. How did it start? Why and when? Did traders help spread cooking? A key interest is how did trade enhance the start of civilization? Who were the traders? Why trade? When did it become widespread? Once again, the evidence says, beats the hell out of us. Lack of evidence won't stop this important search. Financial expert William Bernstein wrote, "A Splendid Exchange, How Trade Shaped the World." So we'll quote him.
Mesopotamian records tell of the exportation of surplus grain and cloth from the rich land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, as well as the importation of strategic metals, particularly copper, utterly lacking in its alluvial soil. This earliest access of trade ran 3,000 miles from the hills of Anatolia through Mesopotamia and out the Persian Gulf, across the shores of the Indian Ocean and up the Indus River.
In other words, a big deal to budding civilizations. Let's think about what trade is. Traders are usually considered merchants, buying and selling to make a buck. Does it have to be? Before farming, the people were hunter-gatherers, meaning constantly on the go. People beginning with Homo erectus journeyed from Africa to China and beyond. Who were immigrants and who were traders? The earliest merchants had to invent inventory control, means of transportation, what, when, and where to transport. They needed exchange rules before money and security. Robbery was a pre-civilization invention. The most efficient way to move goods was, and still is, by boat. Early boat builders must have focused on moving lots of merchant goods securely. The village chief would have talked with the elders of the next village and delivered gifts, which would usually be reciprocated. One village making great pots might gift pots in exchange for woven baskets, the specialty of that village. For a city-state, the traders would be government diplomats, contacting and trading with other city-states. Gift-giving evolved into trade, with merchants replacing diplomats. Gift-giving into enemy territory may have been used as a form of spying. The evidence of trade before agriculture is almost zero. Trade evidence is extensive once people settled down to farm and create city-states. These developing cities had specialties they were efficient at and traded for goods that were not available. Records were made to keep track of the goods, and many of the trade documents, like clay tokens and later cuneiform tablets, became part of the archaeological record. The evidence was abundant in Uruk and other Sumerian cities. Other records, like official seals from other cities, states, added additional documentation. The best description of how merchants functioned was by Marco Polo, a Venetian merchant traveling on the Silk Road in the late 13th century. He wrote his travels while in an Italian prison. Polo's records of how trade was done, mainly over land, with boat travel on the Indian Ocean. Long, difficult, dangerous, but doable. It was long after ancient trading, but the process was the same. This is how, for example, Rome got silk, pepper, and spices. Generally, most merchants only traveled part of the way on the Silk Road. A Chinese trader might carry silk as far as Afghanistan and exchange the silk for pepper and spices from Indian merchants. An Italian trader might sail as far as Canaan, exchanging bulk goods from Europe for silk and spices. Trade got more important over time. Rich states exploited their natural advantages in food, the use of craftsmen, and new technologies. Surpluses were generated to be used for trade for other goods. Merchants were in the middle and often became rich and powerful with their skills in transferring goods, plus related services like finance. Ships got bigger and trading more efficient. The process continues. Two later trade events are worth mentioning now. First was the rise of Islam in the 7th century, encouraging trade during the Middle Ages. Muhammad was a merchant in Mecca. Muslims continued the trading focus. Columbus discovered new continents and started the Columbian Exchange. 60% of the foods we now consume come from the New World. Columbus was the first to bring New World foods to Europe. Both events will be covered in future videos. Civilization started when people settled in permanent villages to farm. This happened in the last 11 to 12,000 years ago. Abundant evidence supports this. The mysteries involve the difficulty of expanding from harvesting wild grains to actually growing and improving agricultural practices. This includes proving how the transition happened. Follow us as we join the wild ride on food, history, and mysteries.